Let me preface this by saying that this is my opinion and by no means is factual. You're allowed to agree or disagree with me for what I'm about to say, but let's be civil and agree to disagree if we can't really see eye to eye. I think Black Ops 6 Zombies is too easy, and I personally think it's a husk of what zombies used to be. I don't think this game gives the classic zombies experience that they promised. That's not to say that the game is completely horrible, but it's just not my taste. When you think of classic zombies, you often think of iconic symbols like the Pack-a-Punch, wonder weapons, turning on the power, the hellhounds, power-ups, perks, and the mystery box. All iconic pieces of COD Zombies that gave the game its identity. In COD Zombies, the box was supposed to be the cornerstone of the entire game. When you think of World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, how'd you obtain your firepower? You spun from the box. Those 950 points could give you a weapon like the ray gun, or you could get a shitty gun like the Springfield M1903. Yeah, I said it. It fucking sucks. The box adds a layer of randomness that makes every match different. In old Zombies, you were always running to the box to get the necessary tools for survival. I think it's more than fair to say that the box makes up a very good chunk of the zombies' identity. My problem with the box in Black Ops 6 is that you don't need the box. You can go an entire match without spending a dime on the box and get by just fine. The reason for that is because you can spawn with any gun in the game except wonder weapons. You don't need wonder weapons in Black Ops 6 to hit high rounds, another group of key items that used to be required for high rounds in classic zombies. To think that the very core mechanics of zombies that used to be important as perks are now completely useless mechanics is pretty fucking absurd in my opinion. The box was one of the mechanics that made zombies fun, and wonder weapons were one of the mechanics that made zombies fun. Now they're pretty irrelevant, unless you're trying to do Easter eggs. One of the things that really bothers me about Black Ops 6 is the quality of your firearm is completely dependent on the tier level of your gun. With the exception of Pack-a-Punch, of course, because HAP doesn't bother me. Without the box being needed, you also lose the threat of the box being moved to a bad location, which used to make surviving a significantly more difficult challenge. In classic zombies, you start with a shitty starter pistol that will last you a few rounds at best. Don't get very much ammunition to start with it either. You then have to make a choice. Do I buy a wall weapon, or do I hold out and buy my way to the box? The decisions all have to be made within a very few amount of rounds, or you will be overran very quickly. In the early rounds, without perks and reasonable firepower, the zombies will make very quick work of you. You didn't have Omni movement to make zombies easy to train after all. That isn't apparent in Black Ops 6. You don't have to worry about spawning in with a garbage starter pistol, you just get to choose any primary gun that you want. The damage of the gun is heavily influenced by the tier level of the gun. So instead of having to change weapons rapidly because your weapon is becoming ineffective, you just upgrade it with scrap instead, which is very easy to get. The zombies just drop it after being killed, which suppressor attachments vastly increase the scrap drop rate. It's not like how you have to use to spend points to obtain better guns, because it functions basically as a separate currency, which takes away from the weight of your purchases. There are objectively no bad guns in Black Ops 6 Zombies, just bad gun tiers and overpowered guns. And once again, through the loadout system when you spawn, you can choose whatever gun you want. The best guns are attainable through loadouts like the USAS-12, the USP-45, the AS-VAL, and the PP Bison. Another thing that damages the difficulty is the abundance of ammo boxes in Black Ops 6. Remember that feeling in Zombies where you're running low on juice and you get that clutch max ammo? That is completely lost in Black Ops 6. Ammo boxes are littered all throughout the maps, and there are no diminishing returns from using them. So not only can you easily access them, but you'll gain more points than you would lose from using them. In older CODs, when you ran completely out of ammo, you had to go back to the box and get a gun and go pack it, or buy a wall gun and go pack it. It created a very big sense of emergency, like you were truly in danger. The zombie horde behind you or in front of you was a real threat. Hell, you don't even need to scramble to buy Jug. You can survive so long without it because the zombies just don't do nearly as much damage as they used to. And you also have armor in the game. I also need to mention that zombies drop overpowered drops like chopper gunners and self-revives. You can actually craft those too, by the way, with scrap. So once you finish upgrading your gun tiers all the way, which doesn't take very long, by the way, you can have infinite self-revives. I feel like they've moved a lot of the temporary match progression to total permanent progression. Things like loadouts, field upgrades, perk augments, etc. are items that ruin the in-game difficulty. It's also not only the fact that you have these things available, but how easily accessible that they are. You don't have to get them through any hard in-game challenges. They're just kind of given to you with little to no effort on the player's part. They also remove monkey bombs from the box, which pisses me off, because the feeling of pulling the monkey bombs from the box was kind of like pulling a wonder weapon from the box, and now it's just completely gone. I don't mind allowing us to have more than 4 perks, but simply allowing us to have all of them is kind of overpowered. As if the game wasn't easy enough, you can have all the perks by simply just buying them. You don't have to do some super difficult challenge to grant access to a 5th or 6th perk. You're just allowed to have it. You also have perk augments in Black Ops 6, which can provide some pretty overpowered buffs. A good example would be Quick Revive's Dying Wish. When you have Dying Wish equipped, you will survive what would be a lethal hit or a down and go to 1 health. You lose Quick Revive when the perk augment is used. I feel like at this point it's completely overkill. There's just no balance to it. And to be honest, the game is relatively easy without the perks. You used to have to buy Jug as soon as possible, but now you can survive without it for what seems like an eternity. My buddy Cohen played Black Ops 6 Zombies for the first time yesterday, which would be the 19th of October. And he went all the way to round 17 without buying Jug, and then he bought it because he then realized he didn't have it. It's not that he realized he didn't have it because he went down or almost died, but because he just happened to look down and see that he didn't have it. Do you realize how insane that is? And like another good example is my brother, right? My brother, when I told my brother about that, he found it hysterical and he went and played zombies and then went all the way up to round 26 without buying a single perk, which at that point he just kind of gave up because he got bored. I know people will mention that Knock didn't have perks and that some people can get to round 20 with ease. While that is true, it's simply not even remotely close to how easy Black Ops 6 Zombie is as a whole. In Knock Down Toten, 1 or 2 mistakes will end you. In Black Ops 6, you're granted the privilege of making multiple mistakes that should be game-ending mistakes. I think it should also go without saying that I'm not including in-game exploits and bugs when it comes to game difficulty because most CODs have some type of game-breaking bug or exploit that makes the game easy. There's also map design, which makes traversing the maps super easy, and there are abundance of training spots. Once again, with the box not being needed, you also don't have to worry about the box being moved to a dangerous location. Pack-a-Punch also upgrades your weapons instantly. There's no animation, so you're not punished for upgrading your weapons at the wrong time. They also changed the points to kill-based points instead of damage-based points, which completely removes the ability to strategize on how you earn points in the early rounds, which I feel like most people dislike. It doesn't necessarily make the game more difficult, I suppose, but it's just more of a annoyance because it kind of removes a viable strategy from the game. I remember when Black Ops 3 DLCs came out on PlayStation first, so I would watch YouTubers like Raffle Waffles or Mr. Dalek JD, and the entire community come together for days trying to figure out these Easter eggs. It really was an interesting experience to watch everyone rack their brain cells together to solve the beautifully crafted Easter eggs that Treyarch made. The result would often be a cinematic that would continue the story of our beloved crew. Tank Dempsey, Nikolai Belensky, Taki Masaki, and Edward Richtofen. To watch these 4 well-written characters that were at odds with each other work together to complete their goals was really quite the journey. The bits of lore that you would receive were mesmerizing because there were tons and tons of lore just within the map itself. It's not fair to compare the new crew to the original 4. However, I do feel like it's got a lot of room for improvement. I will say I'm grateful to Treyarch for giving us a crew, because Black Ops Cold War didn't have a Zombies crew at all. I won't speak too much about our current crew in Zombies because the stories have to play out. I don't think it's necessarily fair to judge them because the characters still have a lot of room to grow. I do miss the old voice lines of the old crew though. The things that the original crew would say kept me coming back for more. They were funny, charismatic characters with well-written stories. However, I will not be so generous when it comes to the Easter eggs for Black Ops 6. I feel like there is not as much effort or thought put into it. The community used to have to take days to figure out these Easter eggs, and now it only takes people a handful of hours. In my opinion, this is all a result of the original Zombies audience not being the target audience. They kept saying that Black Ops 6 was going to be the classic Zombies experience, and it doesn't feel like a classic Zombies at all. It doesn't play like it and doesn't give the same level of enjoyment. It feels like they watered the game down to make room for new players who aren't skilled at zombies. It's like they're afraid that if the game is remotely difficult, it won't be popular. I think mechanics like scrap, ammo boxes, and armor plates really support that argument. It also feels like it's a way of just milking player time because it's just easier to get higher rounds. I'm glad that we have a camo ground in the game. I've wanted a zombies-based camo ground for a long time, but not if it comes at the cost of the gameplay loop. It feels like none of the guns are bad because they don't want people to be discouraged from the camo grounds or for guns to just be useless. Not all guns should be made equal. It throws off the gameplay loop. If a gun is bad, just make the camo grind a little bit easier for that gun. I really don't like that the only enjoyment in Black Ops 6 Zombies comes from the camo grind. I feel like they've reduced zombies so far down from what it used to be. I know I might have said some controversial things in this video, but I want to provide opinions that are different. You're allowed to disagree with me. I welcome you to think for yourself. I don't want you to see me hating on the game and hate the game because some random guy on the internet said, game bad. I want you to think for yourself and experience for yourself, and to share your experience like I am through this video. The world would be a very fucking boring place if we all agreed. Next, I'm going to make a video on the multiplayer, but it's going to take some time. I want to see how they make some balance changes first and give them a little bit of time to improve the game. Then I will state my opinion. I'm going to end my rant here. I love you guys. Stay safe out there, and let's make zombies great again.